Hey guys, Ange here. I didn't actually think I have time to break down or recap this event, but I did find some time, so woohoo! So Sean O'Malley shocks the world in many ways. He knocks out ALJAMAIN STERLING for the Bantamweight title at UFC 292. I think a lot of people were expecting maybe O'Malley to stumble at this opportunity, but he does have a strong fan base, and I think they believed in him. Although, who really knows? Going into this fight, I did feel like O'Malley's composure, just during fight week and everything, was just, he was at peace, and I think he really had everything going for him, and I almost placed a bet on him, but I didn't because I didn't have time, but I think there was just something in the air that was, maybe it was destiny, maybe it was something else, maybe it was just that the UFC wanted O'Malley to become champion so badly that it all just came into play. ALJAMAIN STERLING, there was a lot going against him, to be fair. Like, he had that quick turnaround. The UFC really wanted him to fight O'Malley after that 5-round war he had with Cejudo not too long ago. So he was kind of like persuaded to take this fight before he knew he was 100%, which is, fair. I still feel like this actually was a bad match. Stylistically, this was a bad matchup for Aljo. Regardless of whether he was 100% or not, I feel like even if he was 100%, I feel like his style would match up badly, just because O'Malley's footwork and movement was just too much for him to comprehend, and he just didn't let Aljo get anything started, really. Aljo has a point though, saying that he could have made it a boring fight and he could have won those rounds, and he did win the first round. But I don't know, this fight makes you think, like, how much of it was destiny, how much was it skill and preparation. I feel like O'Malley did everything in his power to be prepared for this fight, and I don't think that's always the case for fighters fighting for the belt. I think he was, I guess, of course he was sort of handicapped by the UFC in a good way to get to the belt and fight for it, and he was favoured and he was given a lot, but he still rose to the occasion, and he looked really good. I think he's reached another level now, but it does kind of make me wonder more about that spiritual element that sometimes even I forget about. So that was really nice to witness, because it did feel like it was destiny. And that it was meant to be. I think Aljo took the loss well. I think he knew that, he did what he could as well, given the circumstances. I don't think he really needs a rematch just yet. It's kind of a weird situation, because he was like 1 foot out the door of the division anyway. I feel like he probably needs to take some time off and just recover for now. But for O'Malley, I'd really like to see him fight Chito and take it from there. I think for O'Malley now in the position that he's in, I think he's just going to keep getting better and harder to beat. As long as he doesn't fight someone like Merab for his first title defense, I think he'll be able to sort of rack up the skills to even perhaps fend off Merab from the belt as well. And Cory, that one's really interesting as well. But Cory's had so many injuries and setbacks now. I wonder if that's going to betray him in the end. Like, I would hate to see him end up like Tony Ferguson, but not that would happen yet, no, not nearly. But I wonder, I'll be interested to see what happens, say, if O'Malley beats Chito, who would be next. They may even make they might make Sandhagen and Merab fight each other, which I don't really think is fair for Cory, because I think he deserves the next title shot in his own right, but I can see the promotion doing that, so very interesting. I'm really happy actually with all this that's happened. Like, love or hate O'Malley, it has made the division so much more exciting, because it was feeling a bit stale for a while, and that's not just because of Aljo, it's just because Aljo was fighting all these old guys and people that had just suddenly turned up and asked for their title shot because they were ex-champions. And all these other guys like Cory missed out. I don't feel like they should have ever made those fights. But now it does feel fresh, and I think that it's going to be really great from here on. Love or hate O'Malley, he's not an idiot. He's very intelligent. He's really worked on himself, and obviously I don't love listening to everything he has to say. I mean, who does love listening to everything everyone has to say? But he has some really good points. He has a lot of wisdom. He reads a lot. He's kind of explored every little avenue he can to make himself better. and a lot of that is mental. So props to him. No, I'm really impressed with what he's done. Like, I remember back in the day he was kind of really hyped, kind of like Paddy Pimblett, and you kind of thought, well, he's just going to be someone who is going to fold in half once he gets to the top 10, top 15, and he kind of had that setback against Chito, and it kind of felt like, oh, maybe he's just a glass cannon. I don't know, like, I don't know how his durability is, because we didn't really get to see much of it, but I think he looks a lot stronger now, and he's just, I think he's just made the most of what he's had, because I think so many people would have let the fame and all the money get to them, and they wouldn't have really disciplined themselves in the same way. MALLEY isn't as flashy as he seems. He admits it to his team, him and his team. They are very disciplined, and even though they look like they're always having fun and getting all the girls and all that shit, they're probably not even doing that at all. Well, they probably are a bit, but I mean, his persona does bother me sometimes, but I know deep down he's actually a very dedicated, disciplined guy, and I think if we could all sort of take that from O'Malley and do the best with what we've got, we'll be surprised with the results. And he also, you know, admits that he would be nowhere without his best friend, Tim Welch. It kind of shows how important it is to have that person at your side going through everything, your mentor, your best friend. It's strange to have it all in one, and coach. Kind of does make you wonder whether or not it was destiny at hand, because not everyone's that fortunate to meet the right person. A lot of young people are, you know, taken advantage of, or people have other interests at heart, or so it's quite remarkable when you think of it that way, because not everyone is that lucky, but he has worked hard too. I personally can see O'Malley just building on his skills from here and actually becoming a dominant champion. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I can see if they match him up correctly to start with, like I said before, and don't match him up with Merab like right off the gun or straight off the whatever top, then I think O'Malley will have some success. I can see him reigning for years if he plays his cards right. I think he's got his head screwed on. I think that's what makes him a bit different to Conor. I think Conor got just caught up by all the fame and money, but I think O'Malley's got a bit more grounding. But we'll see. You never know how he's going to cope with extra fame, extra money and all that. But I can see him being a focused martial artist for years to come. Yeah, so it's exciting. Still doesn't feel real that he's actually the champion, to be honest. If I was Aljo, I would look at taking a fun fight next. I wouldn't want to stay down at Bantamweight and, you know, strain my weight. I think he just needs to take some time off to actually recover, because I know what it's like having burnout, trust me. So I think he should go up to featherweight, but then maybe, you know, if he's able to get a rematch, if there's a situation where they need someone to come in, I reckon he'll be good there, but maybe not on short notice. But yeah, he should go up to featherweight otherwise. ZHANG WEILI versus LEMOS. I kind of thought that maybe the fight will go like this. I think, yeah, WEILI's just a bit too strong, especially in the wrestling. She's just on another level, like, as a mixed martial artist, whereas LEMOS, even though she's very talented at boxing and striking, and she's got that knockout power, she's not as technically well-rounded out in all areas of mixed martial arts the way WEILI is. But LEMOS did show that she's extremely tough, and she's got the fighting spirit for sure, and if it was any other opponent she was fighting, she may have come on top, because she just wasn't going to take a no for an out. So not too much to really say on this fight. Other than that, I think WEILI, I think she should be pound for pound number one, but I haven't checked the rankings yet. MAGNY and Ian Garry. Yeah, obviously the shit talk made it more interesting, but I thought Ian Garry was being a little bit woke, if you ask me. He was being a little dickhead, like, but it made it fun, because I'm like, oh, what are you saying? You're twisting Magny's words and all that shit. I'm like, oh, and then I just knew he was going to beat the shit out of Magny. I'm like, oh, this sucks, because it's one thing to shit talk, but it's a bit more cathartic if you can get behind the guy that's getting teased a little bit or bullied. So whatever. Ian Garry looks so good though. I just want to see him fight someone on his level. I'm sick of seeing him fight all these older guys. Like, he wants to call out Wonder Boy. Don't be a dick. Fight someone like maybe Sean Brady, or the winner of Kevin Holland and Jack Della. I think that'll be a really good matchup, but we'll see what the UFC does. BLACKSHEAR, Mario, BAUTISTA. Sorry, I haven't really prepared for this, but again, a quick turnaround for BLACKSHEAR, who got the twister a week ago. If he had a bit more time, I reckon he would have beaten Mario, because he must have been fatigued from the fight the week before, but Still a really good fight by both guys. And Marlon Vera, Pedro MUNHOZ. I actually thought Pedro won, but maybe I wasn't watching it properly, but I did think Pedro won. But I do think that Chito actually won the last round, and maybe he won the second round. I mean, at the end of the fight, it looked like Pedro was beaten up, and I guess Chito was landing. I guess a better way of saying is that Chito was landing the more significant strikes or the harder shots, but he didn't. I don't think he landed as much. But I guess with the way that they score it now, it's damage, so I guess that makes sense. But it was a little bit disappointing from Chito because he just didn't seem to take off the way we would have hoped. I really think that now's the time for O'Malley to beat Chito, because I think Chito's just missing an ingredient there of urgency, and he just seems to, he's so stubborn because he just loves to fight the way that he fights, and he's just going to stick to it. I think, yeah, kind of like Dustin Poirier, he's a bit like that. He's too stubborn. Unless the stakes are really high, maybe that'll change, because I feel like Dustin changed his game plan up really well for Conor. Maybe Chito will do the same for O'Malley. I feel like O'Malley's going to be his footwork's just going to do the same thing to Chito as Aljo, and it's probably going to be something sort of similar, even though they're completely different fighters. Yes, that's about it. Just wanted to do something for this week because I did miss it. But thanks for dropping by, because you probably listened to too much about this card now, but I appreciate it, and I'll be back when I can. I'm just pretty busy right now with my work, so, but it's always really nice to do this, so thanks for listening, and see you around the traps.